TATA EV wants you to believe the impossible is conquering a rock called the elephant. We're here to tell you the real impossible challenge is conquering China's 800-volt battery technology. And the Harrier EV hasn't even left base camp. Today, we're tearing down the technical specs of the Harrier EV, comparing its architecture head-to-head with global benchmark Chinese SUVs, and investigating if Indian engineering can overcome the multi-billion-dollar 5 to 8 year technology gap between them and China. Stay tuned, because this isn't about marketing stunts. It's about the cold, hard physics of why the Chinese are winning the global EV race, and how that technology lag impacts the final price, charging convenience, and your wallet. For years, the Indian EV market was built on the back of modified ICE cars. Practical, affordable, but ultimately constrained by legacy design. The Harrier EV, however, changes that narrative completely. This thing is the flagship of the new generation. TATA built it on the ActEV Plus architecture. It's a dedicated electric platform, but it intelligently borrows its DNA from the Land Rover D8 structure. You can thank that for the chunky, commanding stance and the promise of robust build quality, a necessary feature for Indian roads. What does the enthusiast care about? The top-spec model boasts a dual-motor, quad-wheel drive setup that throws down an impressive 390 horsepower and 504 Nm of torque. That's enough grunt to haul this large SUV from 0 to 100 km/h in a seriously quick 6.3 seconds. This is the first time an Indian-designed SUV has stepped into this performance territory. It's not just a street racer. It has features like 6 terrain modes, including rock crawl, sand and V2L, or vehicle-to-load capability, meaning it wants to be a genuine, usable adventure SUV. It even has a transparent mode, where the 540-degree camera feed lets you see under the car. No more guessing where that massive pothole is. The base model starts at about $24,000, making the tech surprisingly accessible. But now we get to the real global test. Can this impressive Indian machine hang with the Chinese titans? We're focusing on the BYD Sea Lion 7 and the XPENG G6, because these are China's global competitors, built to beat Tesla and the Europeans. Let's look at acceleration and power. The Harrier EV's 6.3-second sprint is great, but the Chinese performance models are running in another league. The AWD Sea Lion 7 hits 100 km/h in about 4.5 seconds, thanks to its massive 690 Nm of torque. The XPENG G6 manages to cut that down to a physics-defying 4.0 seconds. The Harrier is quick, the rivals are supercar quick, but the real critical difference is charging architecture. The Harrier EV, like most current mass-market cars, runs on a 400-volt system. This allows the 75 kWh pack to charge 20% to 80% in a respectable 25 minutes at 120 kWh. Now look at the XPENG G6. It's built on a full-domain 800-volt system. Why is that a big deal? It fundamentally changes the charging game. The XPENG can ingest power at over 280 kWh and charge its battery from 10% to 80% in as little as 12 to 20 minutes. That is nearly twice as fast as the Harrier. This 800-volt hardware is the new technological frontier, and it's the 5 to 8 year gap India has to close. Next, structural innovation. The Harrier has its robust structure, but BYD takes safety and rigidity to an architectural extreme with its cell-to-body platform. This isn't just a battery pack bolted to the car. The pack itself forms an integral, structural part of the chassis. This makes the entire vehicle stiffer, safer in a crash, and allows for better handling. The simple lesson here is that Chinese companies have been building dedicated third-generation EVs for so long that their platforms are now fundamentally more advanced in speed, charging, and structural safety. The reason for this architectural difference is simple: money and time. China's government support started aggressively in the late 2000s, pouring an estimated $230 billion in state subsidies into manufacturers and the supply chain. This allowed China to rapidly build a localized ecosystem that controls over 70% of the global battery supply. They achieved manufacturing scale and low costs first, India began its serious policy push later, around 2019 to 2020. The domestic market's first priority was affordability, which meant starting with smaller cars and modified ICE platforms, like the early Nexon EV. The Harrier EV on the XPENG platform proves India has now entered the sprinting phase, finally designing proper, dedicated EV architectures. It's a great technological leap, but analysts agree that until India builds and masters its own giga-scale battery cell manufacturing and 800-volt systems, the structural technology gap remains 5 to 8 years. India will absolutely become one of the world's biggest EV markets by volume. The sheer volume of affordable 2- and 3-wheelers guarantees that. But China is, and will remain for the foreseeable future, the undisputed global EV factory and technology leader. The TATA Harrier EV is the most advanced, most exciting electric car to ever roll off an Indian production line, showcasing brilliant homegrown engineering and rugged utility that Chinese rivals often overlook. It's a true 5-star safety, rated, go-anywhere electric SUV, and it deserves every bit of praise it gets. However, if you think the Harrier EV truly challenges the technological pinnacle of the XPENG G6 or the BYD Sea Lion 7, the kind of tech that lets you add 400 kilometers of range in the time it takes to grab a bag of chips, you're missing the point. The real measure of success for India won't be building a car that can beat the Chinese on the 0 to 100 km/h run. It will be building a car that can eventually sell for half the price while being twice as durable. The Harrier is a great first step, but the cold, hard truth is that the Indian EV sector's long-term future still depends heavily on closing that battery supply chain gap. Until India stops importing most of its battery cells, the Chinese will always be able to undercut them on price and beat them on the technological frontier.